Order of business is to approve the minutes from both our February and our March meetings. You do not have printouts in front of you, but those were emailed to you, so hopefully everyone reviewed them via email. You did not? Oh, no. Okay. So hopefully everyone else got them. So I will take a motion to approve both the February and the March minutes.
Motion to approve February and March minutes of 2024.
Great. And a second? Elmer? All right. Is there any discussion about the minutes? Any revisions or anything that you guys are aware of? Okay. So all in favor of approving those minutes? Raise your hand. All right. And that passes unanimously. I'll turn it over to Tanisha.
Sorry, my slides aren't advancing. There we go. All right, I just wanted to give a quick update on the El Cid mural that happened between our last meeting and this one, that we did not get to do our normal, we didn't get to discuss it or anything, so I just kind of wanted to put it in front of you guys. We did have a few of you out that weekend, which was great. So the way that this came about was that the mayor had contacted me about an opportunity. El Cid is an artist. Hopefully you guys all from my email got to look him up. He has just a huge portfolio of work, sculpture, murals, TED Talks. He's very, he does a lot of work. So he was here in the United States, and he was looking for a place to do a mural while he was here for 1 week. Our city, and I believe Clarkston was another city that was chosen. He did a mural on their library, and if you guys haven't seen it yet, we got a mural done on actually a private building across the street here from the City Hall. The mural, it's actually a pretty cool story. He did a very quick amount of research after he chose this location and found a Chamblee author who is an older woman. She went to Chamblee High, graduated from Chamblee High, and she was a New York Times bestseller at one point. She's still a writer. She's a very prolific author, and she had a quote, and I should have written this down because I might misquote it, but it's something along the lines of walls don't only keep people out, they also keep people in, meaning community, that kind of thing. And so he took that quote and ran with it and put it both, it's hard to see in these photographs, but in gray behind everything, in English it says that full quote, and then in Arabic script it says the first line of the quote. So yeah, it was an incredible community event that was thrown together very quickly. People came out and brought food, they brought their families, they brought kids, there was a lot of dogs. It was just a really cool, interesting event, and we threw out some pop-up tents and some chairs, and it was wonderful. So that's that, and I am sorry that we didn't, as the pack, get to kind of, go through this process together. It was very last minute, and but it was a cool event, and I'm glad that some of you got to come out to it.
And I just wanted to tack onto that El Cid was here in the States, sponsored by the Alif organization,
That's right, yeah.
Alif Foundation, I think, right? And was there for an event that they had, and so that was really nice to partner with a group that is there to promote the Arab American community within Georgia and within the Atlanta region, and that the artist El Cid, his philosophy, his mission is to use art to promote peace. So I just really loved that concept and enjoyed watching him do that here in Chamblee.
And Alif, by the way, the foundation, they're a nonprofit. They're not technically in Chamblee, but they are in that part of unincorporated DeKalb that we just recently tried to make part of Chamblee and are still working to that. So they, kind of are Chamblee. They're part of our community. So it was cool to, they're really just right down the road. So I think they were happy to connect to Chamblee and to become part of our nonprofit partnerships. So. And if you haven't seen it, go out and look at it. And take a picture.
I have a question. Is it, well, two questions, but one, is it complete? Has it been
It is
completed?
complete. And when you see it in person, you can see that the background is filled in. It's like gray on gray.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's hard to see
Yeah.
in photographs, but in person you
Okay.
can see the English
Yeah,
poem behind, or English quote, I guess.
okay.
Was that intentional, to make it so subtle?
The gray, I'm not sure. I was kind of hoping it was going to get some shadow or something, but
Huh,
Yeah.
interesting.
it all happened very, very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Is,
he also said that he would love to come back and work in Chamblee again. He loved the idea of working on a MARTA mural. So if we ever have him back again, we could ask him to outline the letters.
Yeah. Okay. Do we know the name of the author?
Yeah, I should have written this down. The mayor has been trying to contact her. She no longer lives in Chamblee, but she's still in Georgia.
yeah.
And he was trying to contact her to tell her so
Oh,
that
yeah.
maybe she could come down and see it.
Okay.
So maybe that'll still happen and we can do another little community event for that. All right. Next up, we have the colors that people submitted for the column murals.
Oh, sorry, you're looking at me.
Well, I don't.
Yeah, so I sent out an email to you guys if you had any additional colors. We didn't hear, I didn't see any additional choices added. So basically what we would like to do is to vote on each of these colors. You can vote for as many colors as you would like to see or as few as you like. And then the one with the most votes will be the winner. If we have to do a second round, if there's a tie, we can go around a second time. And we are missing a member tonight, but we do have enough for a quorum, so we can continue with getting business done. So are there any questions or discussion you guys want to have about these options before we get to voting?
I do have one note. So, I want people to just see that these are different colors than we looked at originally. These are more refined colors that came from Brittany's document that you sent out. And B, the gray, the warm gray on the bottom was just text, I believe, from Shan saying maybe we could look at a warm gray. I kind of guesstimated a warm gray and threw that in there.
And in the image, I want to say 2 and 5 look kind of similar, but in the other document, the teal, I think, was a little darker and more of a muted tone. And then the suggestion of the cyan aqua was more of a bright, not quite neon, but maybe like a bright, sunny sky kind of color. Okay, well, if there's no further discussion or comments that anybody wants to make, we can just start with number 1 and all in favor of the the goldenrod color, option number 1, raise your hands. Okay, that's 0 votes for yellow. Okay, option number 2, the teal, the more subtle muted color, number 2, raise your hands.
2.
Oh, we got 2 votes for teal. It's personally my favorite color. Number 3, we've got warm gray. Votes for warm gray. We got 2. Okay. Option number 5, option number 4, lime green. 1. Okay. And then the last option, the cyan/aqua bright sunny sky color, number 5. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you can vote more than once. do we need
Should we
to?
do a round two on the top three,
Sure.
which was number 2, number 3, and number 5?
Yeah. So teal, warm gray, and cyan, those are the top three. We want to do another round of voting for those? Okay.
We only vote once, is that what you're saying? On round two?
I guess, yeah.
I guess vote once. Vote once, vote your conscience. Okay, teal, all in favor of going with the teal, the muted, option number 2 on the screen. We got 1 vote for teal, okay. Option number 3, the warm gray, all in favor of warm gray. 0 this time, okay. And then lastly, cyan, all in favor of cyan, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4 votes for cyan. All right, it looks like cyan is the winner, you guys.
Great. All right, and then I'll take this one. This is the staff recommendation of the vendor that we go with for the actual work of prepping and painting those columns prior to the murals. So my recommendation is that we go with CertaPro painters. We did have other quotes, but they weren't as, I don't know, it seemed like less of a package, I guess. These guys really came forward very quickly with a really well-rounded package and immediately gave us their insurance and everything. So I feel comfortable recommending CertaPro, and their price is good, and I've got an action on there if you want to do that.
Yeah, so I think at this point, and Elmer, please advise if we are kind of off base, we just need to take a motion to request that City Council enter into a contract not to exceed the total amount listed here. Is that the way it needs to be worded?
That's correct. So this will need to be put on the agenda for the May business meeting. Well, it'll be on the work session for May for discussion and voted on the following week. So yeah, council has to approve the expenditure and the mayor signing the contract.
Okay, so is there a certain way that we should word that?
Final motion will be you'll be requesting authorization for the mayor to sign a contract with CertaPro painters for not to exceed for the purpose of painting the columns under the bridge. Sorry, I left something. That's the basic frame.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Let me double check on that. I just want to check previous amounts that have gone in front of council. I'll have an answer for you on that tomorrow. So yeah. No, thank you. Yes, let me just double check what we've done with some of the other things that council's approved.
So should we go ahead and go through the motion?
Have it ready to go for the work session if it's needed. It may not be needed.
Okay.
If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay, so do we need to do an official motion and vote to ask council to authorize that?
I would say you can do tonight is a motion asking that council or the city manager,
Okay,
based on whose purview it falls under,
okay,
just to cover the bases.
okay. Forgive me if I muddle this, so I'm going to do my best here. So I am looking for a motion to request either city council or the city manager to authorize us to enter a contract not with CertaPro painters not to exceed $9,741.36 for the painting preparation of the rail trail columns for future murals. Do I have a motion?
I motion.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. We need any further discussion? All in favor? All right, passes unanimously. Thank you.
All right, this is just another informational slide. So I believe some of you may be aware of this. This was another push by the mayor to change the location for Metaphysica. Metaphysica is the big red one that was going to be going here next to Old City Hall. And the mayor had reached out to MARTA to see if we could kind of push that idea along. I believe last year when we originally purchased Metaphysica, we had considered MARTA, but it was just going to be too long of a process. So anyhow, the mayor rubbed elbows with someone who said maybe we could make this happen, and we have. So the artist is very happy about this change. He loves the location, and we are working on finalizing the contract this week. Right, and PAC logo, Brittany, I don't think you've seen this. Shan, you were the one who submitted these, right? Oh, you did. So this was today. So these are the only submissions that we've gotten, which is fine. I think we have really nice options to choose from here. But I know you guys didn't get to look at these ahead of time, so if we want to table this until the next meeting, I think that's fine as well, up for discussion for you guys.
I would note that CPAC is a very well-known organization in the United States. You may want to differentiate from that and go with Chamblee PAC. That would just be, that's just my take on that one.
Are you saying we probably shouldn't Google what that is?
It's a very, very conservative political action. It's the Conservative Political Action Committee,
Oh,
CPAC.
there you go, there you go.
Yeah. So,
Thanks for pointing that out, Elmer. I think there's lots of potential here, and I think we could have further discussion. I think it would also be nice to allow Tom an opportunity to see these as well, and give us an opportunity to maybe provide some feedback via email discussion, and maybe vote on the next meeting. Yeah. But great job.
Yeah, and I could fine tune these a little more, and we could pick whatever colors. I just wanted to do something bright and cheery. And then with four, I was thinking that it was maybe looking a little like a CNN logo, but I was trying to do like the Chamblee big marquee sign.
Oh, yeah.
So I can fine tune that a little bit to make it look more maybe three-dimensional. And I can, what I can do is I can go ahead and kind of like revise them to just Chamblee Path. Because that's gonna, I'm gonna have to change up a bit, so because I can't stack them now. I only have two letters.
Well, thank you so much for your efforts in this.
So Bay Balls Festival, we've been talking about this for a couple meetings now. I had a walkthrough site visit with them maybe 2 weeks ago. It went really well, and they are very excited about the location, and they think it's going to work out. So I would like to keep moving forward with them, but we need to discuss budget mostly. So, and also we've narrowed down the dates a little further, so now November 7th through the 10th. I think originally we were just saying sometime in November. So this is the dates that they're proposing. I actually have a meeting with the other buildings. So I think what we've been talking about mostly is the Davins building, because they've always wanted a mural there. The city's been in discussion with them. but there's the building on the left in that little picture, and we know who the owner is, but we have not had this discussion with them yet. So I actually have a meeting with them next week to discuss that, and I do not expect it to stall. I do think that they'll allow us to move forward with that. Babe Walls has given me a pretty thorough timeline, and I can send you guys the entire presentation. I just took a couple slides out of it, but they have a pretty good timeline here. And then the budget is kind of where I would like to hear some discussion from you guys. We were already looking at some overages this year, even though we dropped some projects. We're narrowing that gap a little more, but we still are a little bit over. And the one thing out of this full budget that we could maybe get rid of is the media package. I think the media package would be very cool, and would, do a lot for sort of eyes on Chamblee. They have a videographer who comes through the whole festival, and they create a video. But we also have people on staff here at City Hall who, they do have other work, but we could possibly have them do quite a bit of that. So that's sort of my opinion on it. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to discuss or any opinions on that as well. So I think that's like, I would have to look back, but I think it's like the T-shirts, the stickers, everything that goes with the sponsorship package. So they have like sponsorship levels, which I do think, and we've talked about this quite a bit. I do think that there's a lot of room here for sponsorship because it's on the rail trail. I do think we can get some sponsorships, which would lower our costs, but a lot of that also might be in kind. So we wouldn't really be looking at a lowered cost. We would just be looking at, lower, supplies or whatever.
What did we originally budget for this project? I was trying to find my,
So originally, I think it was when it was going to be under the bridge, it was going to be $75,000, I think was our original budget. And here I can pull up,
Tanisha, while you're looking that up, I am blanking. I thought we were under the bridge. Where did we move it to?
so they are redoing that road. They're completely redoing the road underneath there. So they said hold off on any art projects.
Okay.
Chamblee Tucker Road.
Yeah.
They're doing some construction, I think, where they're adding roundabouts
Roundabouts.
and.
Right. Where did we?
So that was the walls that are, that line Chamblee Tucker under Peachtree Road.
Chamblee Dunwoody.
Sorry,
I do it too.
I do it all the
That's Chamblee
time. I
Dunwoody.
mix it
Yeah,
up.
I
I'm
do it all
sorry,
the time,
thank
but
you.
it's-
Chamblee Dunwoody Road, so not Chamblee Tucker. And Elmer, please feel free to fill in the blanks here, but you were saying they're planning a bunch of, or several roundabouts and some other improvements along that road, right?
Correct. So we're redoing that whole road basically from American Way down to New Peachtree. There's rebuilding the intersections at American Way, New Peachtree, and in between the two, putting in a road diet, as well as adding rail trail style paths. So 12 to 15 foot wide sidewalks, 5 foot landscape buffer between the road and the sidewalks, new lighting and all that. So that's going to be torn up for a while as that's going on. So with all that, we also don't know if we're going to be raising that road or not, or raising the sidewalks. So there's a lot of question about what the final product's going to look like. So to try to go in there and do something with murals now, there's a good chance a lot of it's going to get removed or covered up in the construction process.
So where are we moving this to?
No, that's
we-
not where we intended
parked
the
that
Babe
project.
Walls project. These walls are along the rail trail. So if you go to the rail trail and you go under the little bridge before you get to where Lagarde is, you go
Yeah.
through that little bridge and then you get over to Keswick Park. So it's that area
Okay.
Tanisha, do you want to further explain the walls that have been identified for this?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to.
I think it's also the Davins building and the building across from Davins are part of this
Yes.
project.
Sorry, my brain's not functioning like it used to.
No,
so
no, you're
appreciate
totally
it. Thank
fine.
you.
Sorry, I think
I-
I've just got to close this to get this to work again.
Yeah, I think if the email that I found from way back is correct, it was like 75,000 for the bay walls, potentially. But we were saying we knew we would probably need closer to 90. Oh, here you go.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, this is, I know it's not super easy to see. So this is the newest version of our budget. It doesn't have the old numbers on here, but I believe that the original project was 75, because we were looking at doing 3 murals down there. So it was going to be 25 per mural. And then Babe Walls reached out to us right about the same time that we found out that under the bridge mural thing was not going to work. So we're still a little, not quite on budget, but this is what I've come up with as of today.
In the 79.5, is that after we took out the media package or before?
That's before we take it out.
Oh, yeah. Well, then there you go, problem solved. You take that out and it's 74.5.
Yeah,
And that brings our total deficit down
to about 5,000.
to just over 5,000, not quite 6,000. And I think we can make that our goal for sponsorships for the Babe Walls project.
Yeah, and then the only other problem with the current budget is that right now we have in the column mural artist sort of fees. Originally, we were talking about doing it as a prize. I've talked to a couple people who have said that it might be better to do a stipend. If we do a stipend, we're looking at least at 12,000, which is what I have there, because we would have 12 artists, so 1,000 each. I'm not sure if we feel comfortable with that number. We did give more for the utility boxes,
We did.
so it's a little bit hard to swallow. But that's sort of the numbers that I've been working with. So that is included with the Babe Walls fees. They keep that in there, yeah. So we don't have to worry about extra fees on top of it.
Can you go back to the breakdown for the Babe Walls
Yeah,
supplies? Okay. Because, yeah, if we could get paint donated, that's 75,000, that's 7,500 right there that we could potentially remove in addition to the media package coming off. And if the lifts and equipment rentals numbers, did they provide those numbers, or are those quotes we've gotten from?
That's from them. I
Okay.
think that's probably an average of what they're used to seeing.
Okay.
But our 2 walls are not super high. They're fairly, I mean, you would need at least 1 lift on both,
Okay.
but they have seen the walls, so I would assume that quote is.
How likely is it that we could get donated paint? Or super cheap?
Well, we've talked in the past that Walmart owes us a sponsorship. They do have a paint section. I'm not sure. I don't know what brand that is.
I think they've got multiple brands, but I think maybe a muralist might need to look at the quality of it and let us know if it's acceptable for mural
Yeah.
work.
Do we know how much the anti-graffiti coatings cost?
No, and that's something that, we've grappled with anti-graffiti coating a little bit, as far as like our maintenance, mural maintenance and stuff goes. We usually say that we require it in our maintenance contracts with artists, but there have been times where artists have asked if they could forego it for specific reasons, and we've allowed it. And so far, we haven't had any issues. We did have graffiti on one of the boxes, and it did come right off. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's, I guess, part of this discussion for you guys.
I do remember that the MARTA project, I think MARTA required the anti-graffiti
yeah.
coating, but they supplied it? I think
Yeah,
that was
they
actually
may
part of
supply it.
their, I think that was part of their share in that, where they actually did that.
Yeah.
I was trying to think, like, maybe we can go back and look at the cost of what it was for that, but they covered that part.
I may be able to find that in past contracts.
It's worth looking at the package to see if there's at least a note in there. I think part of it is, how long do we expect these murals to last?
And I will say I had a conversation with Davins today, and he said in 2030, he plans on selling. And he thinks that the building will be demolished. I mean, that gives us 6 years, but.
No, I mean, just a few years ago, the grandmother who owned the business kind of put the flag in the ground that that building would never, ever go away. I think she was going to put it in her will at some point, so that's interesting news.
Yeah.
Now, the two challenges you have with the quality of the paint and the anti-graffiti is that you can't just use regular latex house paint on concrete because it just spalls through and comes off in big sheets. So we either have to do the advanced prep on all the walls, or we have to go with the higher grade of paint. But one way or another, there's a cost factor in there that has to be considered.
That's a good question, too, is what it doesn't say in here is, are we on the hook for prep work?
Okay.
So that's a good question for them. Because that'll be, I think pressure washing the city could probably take care of no problem, but, the base code will cost.
So there's more questions for their team.
Yeah.
So since it's a festival, could we do some sort of fundraising? I mean, we have a merchant event budget here. Could any proceeds from that be directed towards this project?
I think that goes back to one of those questions about when PAC brings money in, it goes back into the general fund.
But at the end of the day, we're bringing money in. So I understand that, but
Yeah,
could we
yeah.
have like a fundraiser and then we get that and say, well, we
Good,
did this.
good question, good question.
I think the easier model to look at is the direct sponsorship, similar to what's done for Taste and the concert series and things. And we have a framework for how that works within the city budget. So I think you're better off going out and seeking sponsors for the event than to try and do the proverbial bake sale to cover it. And again, you also then have fixed numbers you're working with. You don't have a variable.
And we could look at doing very small sponsorships, right? Like, it doesn't have to be a big business. It could be,
Yeah,
Yeah.
any of the businesses along or in that shopping center near where Lagarde is.
For sure.
We
Yeah.
could approach them and ask them for cash. And with the Walmart sponsorship, it could be a mix of in-kind, even if we can't take their paint because it's not the right type of paint that we need. They do have paint supplies like rollers and trays and all that. So maybe it's part in-kind and part cash, if that is something that they'd be amenable to.
Lagarde has a big mural inside of it too. I wonder if they would be interested in having one of those characters or something.
Yeah.
Bring an artist with that. Is Davins supplying anything either, or is it just sort of?
so
They want
they're
it, so they
supplying the
get it.
wall. Yeah, so he owns the he and his family own the building. So their in-kind would be the wall.
Okay, the wall itself.
I did ask him if he would be interested in any other kind of like sponsorship. He seemed like that was probably not an option. But he was hopeful to be on when we kind of vote and maybe have a committee with Babe Walls, that he would like to be part of that.
I feel like if he'd like to be part of the process, then maybe we can ask him to at least sponsor the stipend for the artist or artists that are paying. So if we know how much, like these stipends, if they break that down by artist, and let's say it's like, I don't know, $1,500 per artist, for example, maybe we could ask them to at least sponsor that much.
Like one artist.
Yeah, if it's one or two artists that are working on his wall specifically, then that's a very specific ask, and sometimes that's a little easier to get an answer to as opposed to, can you do something? Like if it's not a concrete ask, it's a little amorphous. it's easier to say no to, I guess.
All right, anything else?
So the action needed is we want to send the Bay, we talked about the ideas of voting to send the Bay Walls contract and invoice to the mayor for signature, but it sounds like there's a little more discussion to be had about prep work and, getting a revised quote if we take the media package out, maybe getting some specifics about the type of paint that they need so that we can research whether or not Walmart or Ace or Sherwin-Williams or whatnot has those types of supplies, and we can maybe approach them.
And I'm also going to write down to send you guys, I've been getting, this week, my email box has been full of things like this, like proposals. So I'll keep you guys in the loop so that you can read through it and kind of see if there's any other questions. Right.
And then hopefully we can get those answers between now and the next meeting so that we can come to the May meeting and vote. Because if we're trying to do this in November, if we, get the ball rolling in May,
Yeah.
there's,
I think
time she flies.
Yeah, their timeline said that the contract should be signed by June.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that
this,
leaves us
yeah,
basically one more
this would
month.
go in front of council in our June meetings.
Yeah,
Okay.
If we discuss this the next pack, which will be the end of May, because we always lag 1 month on council.
I gotcha.
PAC lags 1 month to the council meetings.
oh, did I have Chalk Walk on the agenda? Oh, well, I'll just speak to it. So Chalk Walk, I just have a couple small updates. We're working through the contract right now. And I had a meeting with, I'm not going to remember her name, but the sales manager from Spice and Sky Hotel. And we are working out we're not calling it a sponsorship, but sort of an in-kind for rooms for the artists, for them. So that was something that the Chalk Walk Management Company asked for because last year the artist slept on his living room floor. So he asked if I could pull any strings and get some hotel rooms, and it looks like we're going to be able to. And then hopefully that'll be an ongoing relationship too. She was really interested in promoting our events so that she can keep people here in Chamblee, which I think obviously is great. And I introduced her as well to Brittany and Josh's team to make sure that they were aware that she was willing to promote events and that kind of thing. So that was a great meeting.
Just to close that loop, that was courtesy of Discover DeKalb.
Yes.
And then that woman's actually going to be joining the Discover Chamblee committee. She didn't make yesterday's meeting, but
That's great.
that's all these things kind of loop around. And the other thing is that Discover DeKalb, now that they're looped in, will also promote the Chalk Walk through their
good.
channels. So that's something to work with Brittany with. But Discover DeKalb has considerable access to not just their social media accounts, but other advertising channels that they blast stuff out through. So that's also a way to get the Chalk Walk out there,
That's great. Thank
in
you.
addition to the Discover Chamblee portion of things.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks, Discover DeKalb. And thank you, Spice and Sky
well,
Hotel.
and just remember, they're funded through the same channel that we are. So
Yeah.
it's all in the same family.
Keep people in the hotels. All right, so William Massey, I have been, since our last meeting, I've been speaking to him via email. We have a in-person meeting May 10th, and he's very excited about our project. He's been asking me kind of for any sort of themes or, how much community involvement we want. He's been asking me a lot of good questions. He seems really excited about doing something in Chamblee, and he has sent me over a general contract, and these are just some of the highlights that I pulled out of it. So he did give me kind of a general timeline, community input meetings, things like that. which is coming up very quickly, so once we have the walkthrough with him, hopefully things will start moving. And he's hoping to start work in September and be finished by December. So it sounds like, the way he writes it, it sounds like he likes to do the community event, get the information from the community, and bring that back to his studio, begin the work at the studio, and then do the final installation on site. Which the final installation perhaps could turn into another community event.
Do we know the site yet, or is that part of the visit?
That's part of the visit. So the site that I'm showing him, which has been thrown around quite a bit, is at Arrow Creek, which is the newest park over by the safety building, public safety building. There's some areas, there's some nice like wooded areas where there's benches. And so we thought it would be kind of cool to have it sort of like peeking out of the woods. But I'm gonna walk him through that and just kind of see what he thinks. If he doesn't love that spot, I think we can keep, I could bring him around to other parks, other locations, and see. But when you look at his work, I mean, he's incredible, I think. Wherever
Where?
we can highlight him is.
Where is he from?
He's here in Atlanta.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, he's, a lot of these are on the Beltline. Yeah. So yeah, you can see his work all over Atlanta. He's really great. So I do have an action item on this one. If we're ready to do that, it's jumping ahead a little bit since we haven't done a site visit yet, but from our conversations, I am comfortable recommending that we go ahead and move forward to send the contract for signature. We did already put it in front of legal. We haven't gotten it back from legal yet.
Question about budget.
Yeah,
Is 50 grand all in?
that's all in.
Is our total budget use it or lose it?
Yes.
Okay. Do we know how much the deposit is?
Yeah, you know what? He gave me that and I didn't put it on this slide. I think the original deposit is fairly small. I want to say it was $1,000. Yeah.
I'm just thinking because if he plans on finishing December, and that,
That's a good point.
yeah,
We can, something I've learned this year is that we can ask for invoices that don't go through before the end of the calendar year, that we extend that budgetary period and use the funds from last year's budget to pay invoices, as long as it's in the first quarter.
okay.
I was gonna say, wait, couldn't we use that for Artsy Lane's final payment and then? that's-
Yes,
we're
but
not-
hers comes not first quarter.
Yeah.
It's been pushed out so long that now it's like fourth quarter of this
That would
year.
have been so perfect and that would have given us our budget.
That was the plan originally.
okay.
Yeah.
The only concern I have is him being done in December, like December's an estimate.
True.
So even if he's done, like saying he's done in February, we're kind of cutting close there. I almost say.
You would like to see language in there that says hard stop in December.
That's not fair. I don't think that's reasonable. I think we have to, I'm trying to think maybe even a higher deposit payment with potential budgeting for the second payment towards him in 2025. I think it's more likely that he's going to, being honest, I think it's more likely that it's going to take longer than December than we will quickly get it. Even if we get the invoice in December, I mean, 30-day turnaround.
Yeah. I think we probably could. I'll look back at the schedule of fees. And
Even paying it as the work progresses, 30% of the project is paying 30% of the anticipated budget kind of thing. That's the only thing, the time for that is really too. Yeah. Right.
those are all good points, though.
When is the May city council meeting?
Second week of May? Second Thursday?
Voting meeting is the third Tuesday of the month. If I can find my calendar, I'll tell you the actual date.
So that'd be the 21st of May?
Yes,
Awesome,
21st.
okay. So then you will have had the meeting with him before city council, so that if there's any additional details that we need to provide to city council, we can do that based off.
Yeah,
your-
and
okay.
hopefully we'll have that contract back from legal, the go-ahead from legal on that, so it would be smooth sailing from there.
Great. Okay. So I'm going to request a motion to authorize city council to enter into a contract with artist William Massey, not to exceed $50,000 for a sculpture to reside in a location to be determined within the city of Chamblee limits. City limits. Is that detailed enough?
That works.
Close enough. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, thank you, Elmer. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Paulina. Any further discussion that needs to be had? Speak now. All right, all in favor? Raise your hands. All right, passes unanimously.
All right. And this is you, Brittany?
Yeah, sorry, hang on, just writing something down. Before we get to public comment, I did want to just talk about our schedule, our calendar of projects. I feel like Tanisha and I had this conversation, but I just want to make sure that everybody is kind of aware of how all of our different projects are playing out on the calendar. So we've got the Artsy Lane sidewalk mural that is pushed into fall at some time once the construction that has caused the delay is complete. Timeline TBD, but fall, whatever that looks like. And then William Massey, based on the timeline that Tanisha just had up on this slide, we're looking at the community event element of that project being summer, but then the actual installation of that being November, December, so again, fall. And then Babe Walls being in November. Then we've got Chalk Walk in September. And then the only other piece that we haven't determined the timeline for is the rail trail column murals. And I feel like that's not something that we can pull the trigger on quickly. So that is also looking like likely a fall event. Maybe October, maybe. So I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. I just want us all to kind of be aware of how the rest of the year is shaping up for our projects. And I've been having these thoughts about maybe we can do some sort of messaging campaign around fall and falling in love with art or something along those lines. And maybe we can, leverage those ideas to just, I don't know, just to raise more awareness about everything that we're doing, and it'll feel more special and not just like, oh crap, all these events are just happening at one time, but it seems deliberate because we're messaging it that way. And then there could be potential that we reach out to other arts and culture organizations within the city and maybe ask them to offer some sort of event or free entry day or something in that same time period. So it feels like this, it feels like a month's long fall in love with art. I used to live in Baltimore, Maryland, and they did an event in the fall. They called it Free Fall Baltimore, and there were lots of arts and culture organizations and museums that would offer like free entry on the weekends and stuff like that. And it was just a really fun, cool city experience that you could do over the course of like a month in the fall. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and maybe we can just be quite deliberate in the messaging around that and make it really fun and exciting. And that's all I wanted to say.
On October 25th of every year, the National Fine Art Appreciation Day is celebrated. So I think that also being fall in Georgia, I mean, June, July, August, parts of September, you're going to melt anyway. So you don't really want to be outside celebrating that kind of thing. I think fall is the best.
So maybe we can get with the Chamblee Marketing Department and talk through what that could look like.
Kelsey, can you repeat what that day was?
October 25th. You know, there's a day for it.
Oh, yeah, I know.
National Fine Art Appreciation Day.
Wait, say that again, sorry.
That's okay. October 25th of every year is the National Fine Art Appreciation Day.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anybody have any other things they want to bring up?
I've got something, and I apologize. I don't know if this is the right forum for this, so feel free to cut me off. Regarding emails, can we maybe find a new form of communication? Because obviously it's not working with.
I'm not getting any of them. I didn't get a single one this past month, so you guys are talking about all these communications.
Yeah.
Wondering about SharePoint, if we should maybe, I know some people are also scared of SharePoint, so maybe that's not best.
I mean, well,
Facebook Messenger group.
a text thread to
text
say,
thread.
hey, an email went out, check your
WhatsApp.
spam or something, yeah.
Something.
Well, the city uses
Teams?
Teams.
I was gonna say also.
Would everybody be able to use Teams?
I'd be willing.
Because I
to-
think I would have to use something that's, approved by the city.
Yeah.
Also, Teams lets you share files within it, so I think that would probably be good too.
So I'll look into starting a group that allows outside people through this, and if I need the help of IT, I'll work through that. Thank you so much.
No, that's a good point, because I know my emails to you get bounced back every time, and to Tom, but I never get a notification that my emails bounce back to you, Kelsey, so.
Even though I told them it's not.
I'm like, oh my gosh, crazy.
I was checking for living order, and I was looking at my spam box, and I was like, oh, look at that, freaking. And I think I got yours too. Because when I emailed the minutes in February,
Yeah, never got it. Crazy.
I'm usually spam.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, about the rail trail columns, didn't they, that one, didn't, Long Drum want to do that to coincide,
They did. They still don't have an opening day, though, so I think they're sort of as squishy as we are with the date at the moment. But they do want to be as involved as they can be.
And I think we also have to be realistic with ourselves about how much planning that's going to take, especially if we're seeking sponsorships to help augment the cost, so. Okay, if there's nothing else, then we can move into public comment. Anyone? Bueller? Oh, thank you, Jeff. Okay. Yeah.
Isha, I'm wondering if you could give us an update on the Toyotex mural.
Oh, yeah. So there was a solution on that with the code enforcement team here and planning and development. We had an in-person meeting with Toyotex and the folks downstairs and myself, and we kind of came to some solutions that we could all agree on and sent those back to the head of planning and development. And we kind of worked something out that I think the Toyotex artist and owner is fairly happy with. They are going to basically paint a frame around what planning and development and code enforcement see as the sign, and leave the rest as a mural. So I think everyone's happy with that. I hope in the future that maybe we can use our imaginations to think of it as a frame, but baby steps.
Last layer,
Yeah, yeah. But I think everyone's happy with the solution as of now. I haven't heard anything since the solution was completed and sent out in an email, and I think we're good to go. Yeah.
Okay, so just heads up, our next meeting is going to be Thursday, May 23rd. Said that correctly this time, May 23rd, 6 p.m. And if there's nothing else, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Polina. Second? Anybody? Thank you, Elmer. And we are so adjourned.